name is Judy Newman. I'm the manager of the Townsville Maritime Museum. We're located here in Palmer Street, just past the restaurant strip, in what I think is one of the best parts of town because we're right on the banks of Ross Creek looking out into the channel. We came here in the early 1990s when they moved what was the Harbour Master's building from down at a berth at the port down here, and that is now what we call the Port Building, which is a centrepiece of the buildings that we have here. The museum was started in the 1980s by the Seafarers Association in that building down at the port, but it grew too big for what they had there and they moved to this site. The Seafarers stayed as part of the management of the museum for a long time, but we're run now by the Townsville Maritime Historical Society. It's a vibrant community and we love where we are, where we're located, because of our links to this maritime location. We have lots of displays here. My favourite ones are the Women in War and the Bay Rock Lighthouse, because it's the story of the last lighthouse keeper at Bay Rock, which was in Cleveland Bay.
My name is Mick Lawson. I'm a grandson of John Lawson, who was the last lighthouse keeper of the Bay Rock Lighthouse. My grandfather was tragically taken on the 8th of March 1920 following a visit to Townsville to see the government medical officer to have treatment from a bullet wound in the lung that he'd received during World War I. On the way back to the lighthouse on the evening of the 8th of March 1920, their small boat capsized in a storm. 2 men survived that tragedy and 3 men were taken, either drowned or taken by sharks. During 1992, the lighthouse that stands behind me here was relocated from Bay Rock to the Maritime Museum. It was brought over by helicopter and placed here. It was replaced on the Bay Rock by a electronic light.
While we are about history, we're also about the future, and there's lots of exciting things happening in terms of our Maritime Museum. We have a very active wooden boat group.
I'm Andy Frost. I'm a member of the Wooden Boat Association. We're about 8 or 10 members. And recently, in the last couple of years, we've formed a link with the Maritime Museum, and we've started boat building activities here in the museum. And we had a workshop where members made a pair of oars each, and now we're tackling some boat building in the reel, and we're building a small pram.
The intent is to eventually hand it over to the museum, and they're going to raffle it off. Hopefully build up a few funds for them and we have a bit of fun on the way.
Tony Manning is my name. I'm the president of the Townsville Maritime Museum. I've been involved with the museum for 15 years. The museum is quite unique. We preserve all sorts of artefacts with tremendous historical interest, and the Townsville Port Authority has been one of our greatest supporters. The success of the museum is really due to a huge group of very good volunteers. It's a huge community benefit. The activities of the museum are preservation of artefacts. We hold functions to celebrate notable maritime events.
My name's Peter Martin. I'm the Vice President of the Townsville and District's Naval Association, and today we're having a dedication of a plaque in memory of the guys who were lost at sea on the 10th of February 1964. When we considered about where we'd like to have this memorial plaque, we had a look around and we just thought that this being the Maritime Museum, there are Navy artefacts in here, and we thought this would be a very appropriate place for such a thing.
The museum also has from time to time run model boat building classes in the room that we're now sitting in. And these classes used to run once a fortnight, and we had some quite expert model boat builders that constructed beautiful replica scale sailing ships. Some of these sailing ships can take anything up to 5 years to construct. They have minute detail, and you can see to my left a partly completed model which was built in England. They have wooden nails in them, 0.5 millimetre diameter, many thousands of wooden nails, and indeed every component of these models is constructed from hand. I have the original steam engine and boiler that my grandfather built in 1934, and that's one of the artefacts we have stored in the museum. The other quite valuable artefact we have is in fact a real-life Fremantle-class patrol boat, the HMAS Townsville. The ex-HMAS Townsville was gifted to the museum by the federal government in 2007.
Well, my name's Rod Burgess. I'm the Curator of the Maritime Museum, and also like a project manager for the patrol boat. We were given the boat in 2007, and over the last few years, 3-4 years, we were getting the boat back to serviceable condition. We've had the engines running, all the electronics working, everything bar one generator, and we've almost got the gun working. So we've done pretty well. We really need to get the boat into its proper berth so we can start doing some serious maintenance on the outside. It's a fantastic exhibit. It's probably one of the most complete warships that Australia has in any other states. There's only 2 of these boats left in the world, Townsville and HMAS Gladstone. Townsville's quite lucky to have a boat of this calibre, and we hope to preserve it for future generations.
We are very lucky here at the Maritime Museum in that we have a vast treasure trove of archival material. We have been given and have sourced over decades, the pride of which of course is our historical photos and charts. All the vessels that have ever come in of importance, when the Queen visited in 1970 and the Britannia sailed into Cleveland Bay. We have wonderful, wonderful archive material of wartime activity, because as you know, we were a garrison city with 90,000 troops stationed here by 1945. And that meant, of course, huge maritime and aircraft activity. The old Flying Squadron Yacht Club that was just situated down the road here in Palmer Street, which was a hive of activity for recreational purposes on weekends. So we have wonderful photos of these, and of course the industry, which can't be neglected, the sugar industry, the beef and the mining industry, all of which have used the port as primary forms of communication, bringing goods in and out of the North Queensland area.